Our production managers have decades of experience in the industry. So you're getting people that they know their stuff, they're friendly, they want you to be happy. And then after the job, we don't want your money until we know that you are satisfied with the product that you have received, the service that you've received. And we put a very, very high priority on that, is making sure, are you happy? Is there anything that would make you want to leave us a bad Google review? We want to fix that.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Robert Jones. He's the Director of Marketing at Armor Xteriors. Robert, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Excited to have you. So Robert, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So I am, again, Robert Jones, work at Armor Xteriors. We are a exterior remodeling contractor here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we do specialize in roofing, siding, windows, gutters, doors, decks, pretty much anything outside of your home. And that's pretty much where we're at.
Pretty
we are. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about Armor Xteriors.
So we have been in business here. It's about 2017 or so. We started out basically by Steve, who is a general contractor here in the Chattanooga area, and Dan Markley, who is also a general contractor. Steve, having 20 plus years of experience in the remodeling industry, saw a need and a market for roofing companies, exterior remodeling companies that are a little bit more trustworthy, a little bit really just doing things a little differently. We are in an industry where there are a lot of chuck in the trucks. The barrier for entry is fortunately, somewhat easy to get into. So you get a lot of companies that are here today, gone tomorrow. And he really wanted to start a company that provided a wonderful, unique and a wonderful level of service before the job, during the job, but also after the job. We are in a kind of medium, small town. So people talk, people really want that level of service. They want that local feel. And that's why he started Armor Xteriors. And here we are a few years later, and we are still kicking it. We're still operating like we said we would. And but that's what brings us through here. In the past couple of years, we've hit some pretty big roadblocks. We had one of the worst tornadoes our town has ever seen. And that was, I want to say 2019, around about, and it was just in our backyard. A year later, we had, as everyone knows, this little pandemic thing that really, I don't want to say fortunately, but I guess it is the truth of it. A lot of remodeling companies, home services kind of flourished. When you're inside your home all day long, there's a lot of opportunities to see that crown molding that's cracking, or that paint that just you don't like the color, or that porch that's starting to rot away. People were seeing these things and getting a lot of that work done. So we actually grew a lot in these past few years. And that brings us to today. And now we're dealing with this looming, are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? If we are in one, is it going to be bad? So that's where we're at now. So here again, now we're at the third, I guess, once in a lifetime situation. And we've only been in business less than 10 years. So
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I'm joking, like I'm really tired of living through, like just life-changing, like
Yeah.
historical events, like just really tired of it.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
Yeah, it's unreal. And now it seems like every day it's our new record high, new record storms, new record this, new record that. And it's like, my gosh, this is This is going to be a really interesting segment in history books. A couple of generations from now, people are going to be like, wow, those people had it rough.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to listen to this podcast and be like, wow, why were they saying they were so jovial about it?
Yeah, that's all you can be. You got to laugh.
Right. Well, going back to Armor Exteriors, Robert. So, being in the Chattanooga area, I imagine that there are probably a lot of other companies that do what, you guys are doing in regards to, the siding, the roofing, the gutters, all of that. So talk to me a little bit about, one, how you're able to differentiate yourself, but still stay successful in, a relatively tougher market.
So, and it's very true. Like I was saying, the barrier for entry is pretty easy to get into this industry. And we have a lot of competitors because of it. We have a lot of great competitors. We are a GAF, what's called a GAF Master Elite Roofing Installer, which is essentially one of the top 1% in the nation. And there are a few others here in Chattanooga. So, you really can't say anything bad about them. They're great roofers. They are great people, great business owners. And there are a lot of them. When the tornado happened, we were basically telling people, we're booked up, but here are a list of our local competitors. Call them. Don't call the guy from Montana or wherever. Call the local people. They're good people. It's healthy competition. What makes us different? Obviously that's the big question. Why do we need to go with Armor Xteriors? There may even be 10 other companies that are cheaper. What makes you guys different? And honestly, it is what I was saying about why Steve started this business. It is the level of service and trust that you can have when you choose Armor Xteriors. From the experience from when you first call the phone, or when you first call, the phone is answered. The salesman that comes out to your home, the technology that we use to give you quotes, with you being able to measure the home with drones, measure the phones with your app, and actually see what you're getting before you actually put pen to paper, is something that's unique that we're using. We heavily use technology to provide you, we're not just saying, yeah, we'll throw a roof on, or, hey, we'll do your siding, and you kind of show up one day and it's done. And, oh, well, I like that. That's nice. Or you don't. You see what you get. Our production managers, our production managers have decades of experience in the industry. So, you're getting people that they know their stuff. They're friendly. They want you to be happy. And then after the job, we don't want your money until we know that you are satisfied with the product that you have received, or the service that you've received. And we put a very, very high priority on that, is making sure, are you happy? Is there anything that would make you want to leave us a bad Google review? We want to fix that. And then even after that, we have a very competitive referral program where we, reward our neighbors for, referring business to us. So it really is our use of technology, our use of the best people in the industry, and just that clear, consistent communication before, during, and after the job is really what you're getting. We're not going to be the cheapest. We don't want to be the cheapest. We want to offer the highest quality. And that is what is important to us. And lastly is just that you have that confidence that we are going to be around. If you purchase a warranty from us, especially our roofing warranties, those are covered by the manufacturer. So even if we did go bankrupt tomorrow, your roof is still covered. But we have no intentions of leaving anytime soon. So you do have that confidence. And that's really what you're getting when you choose Armor Exteriors.
I really appreciate that background, kind of, understanding of, the loyalty that you guys have, not only for yourselves to your customers, but also vice versa, and the importance of establishing those relationships with your clients so that, like you said, they're more likely to refer, and understand that, why you are the elite option in the Chattanooga area. So, Robert, you mentioned something about technology, and I'm curious to pick your brain a little bit about kind of the different technology that our Armor Xteriors has been able to leverage over the past few years to really take, its projects to the next level.
So funny enough, Steve, the owner and founder, his background is in engineering, as is mine. So technology processes are very important to us. We're different types of engineers, but it's all kind of this one and the same. We want to make everything as quick and seamless as possible. So when we show up to the job, we use an app that allows us to walk around your home, take photos of the home, take photos of your roof, and get a 3D rendering of your home with measurements and everything, which we can provide you on the spot. So while we're there, you can see the measurements of your roof, the measurements of your siding. Once you start talking about what you're looking for, we can overlay that on there so you can actually see what it would look like if you were to have these things. If there are areas that are difficult to get to, we use drones to be able to get into those areas, which we then use after the job for photo, video. Once you're satisfied with everything, our contracts are all digital. From there, you have a customer portal where you can see what you've signed, how much you signed it for. Applying for financing is done within minutes. No hard pulls for financing options. You can see everything along the way. So everything is digital. Our communication is all through texting. So you could effectively never pick up a pen through this entire process between your estimate, the photos, the communication, even after the job, when it comes to collecting payments. We want to make things as seamless as possible. And selfishly, we want to be able to close sales while we're there. Again, it kind of goes back to making things easy for not just the customers, but our team as well. The more paper, the more stuff that gets lost, communication can kind of break down. So we've definitely been a company. We also, as far as I know, we're one of the only roofing industries or roofing companies in the Southeast or throughout America that actually has a custom app that we developed here in the office that we use. It's for inner office communication. It's not for our customers, but I don't know of anybody else that's done that. I know we have there are some pretty big ones. I know, I think it's Roof Claim. I'll give them a shout out. Look, they have their own bowl game. We're not a competitor of theirs. So I know they have their own, but they're also a very, very large company. But other than that, I think we're the only ones. So yes, technology has been very big for our company, for inter-office communication, as well as customer communication.
So to your point of communication, that's interesting that you brought that up, because I was going to mention that that's a theme that I've kind of heard you bring up several times throughout, our conversation today, talking about the importance of effective communication with your clients, with the team members. So, talk to me about why it's so imperative that you continue to have these open lines of communication throughout your clients, with these projects, and then also, with the team as well.
It is probably, in any vertical, communication always seems to be that one, Achilles heel. And there are so many different areas. One, you can think to yourself, or anyone listening right now, let's say you need a plumber and you go on Google looking for a plumber near me, best plumber near me, whatever your term is. You click on the first one, they don't answer the phone. What do you generally do? You call the next one. So communication, being able to answer that phone immediately. If you leave a web form submission, web form submissions, it's generally not as quick going on to the next competitor, but it is very important as soon as that web form submission comes in that someone from our office calls. We may not do the job. It may not be something that's suited for us, but we need to communicate that before we send someone out. Once we do send someone out, the communication from there goes to our sales team. Are they communicating things effectively in terms of what we can do, what we can't do, what we will do, what you need versus what we want to try to sell you? If we leave there and you don't have an estimate, we need you to get that estimate as soon as possible. If it is something that is unique, let's say you have a house that's it's huge, and it might take you 2 or 3 days to get that estimate. Communicate that with the customer. We are in an industry day in and day out, almost every day. We can, the lady that answers our phone, she could tell you the amount of people that call and say, you guys are the first ones that have actually answered the phone. That tells me that there's a communication breakdown. Or you're the first person that actually scheduled an appointment and you actually came out. Apparently that's common. You're the first person that actually provided me the estimate after they said they'd give me the estimate. And it's so common in the home services industry, all of home services, where there's just, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just not going to call the customer back. No, call the customer back and tell them. And then when it comes to inner office, let me go back, when it comes to production, let's say siding, we quoted you to reside your home. We start taking your siding off. There's rot everywhere. We need to communicate that to you, that there is rot. It's going to cost more. Here's why. We're not trying to nickel and dime you. And then goes to the inner office communication. One common thing, let's say a potential customer calls in and, hey, so-and-so was out at my house and I need, I was wondering about my estimate, wondering about the issue. If you had two options as a customer, option A is, okay, what's your name? Let me take your information down. I'll have them call you. That's great. That's good customer service. Great customer service is, okay, what's your name? All right, let me pull up our CRM and look. Okay, I see that such and such was at your house yesterday at 10:30 a.m. Here's his findings. And you're able to provide a lot of information towards that before saying I'll have this person call you back. That's exceptional customer service. Now, the only way that can happen is if that person that went on the appointment communicated that within their CRM, whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot or Job Nimbus or whatever it is. Are they communicating that? I went to the job, enter, communicate, add that in there, call the customer, communication, asked for a deposit, communication, communicate. I mean, we talk about it so much that it's probably annoying. I think everywhere I've ever worked, that word is used so often, as whether it be a breakdown between employees or whether it's a breakdown with customers. You don't want to lose business because you didn't want to put a note in a system, or a lot of times being able to say no is such a great thing. Being able to say, listen, this is just not something that we do or we're comfortable tackling. You tell them that from the beginning, they respect you so much more, and you don't lose the opportunity for a referral down the road.
Absolutely.
If you just said yes and you ignored them, you are 100% likely you will never get a referral. If you turn the job down in a professional manner, you explain to them why, you may not get a referral, but you're a whole lot more likely than nothing.
Right.
And that's just why we harp on communication, from day one all the way to our newsletter we send out to previous customers. There's constant communication.
I think that's so important, especially about managing expectations, because like you said, people can't be upset if you are open and honest from the get-go, where you say, this isn't
Mhm.
something that we can take on, rather than turning to them after they're thousands of dollars in the hole and saying like, oh, actually, I don't think we can do it.
Yeah.
It's a different conversation being had, at the beginning and then down the line. So, as director of marketing, Robert, you mentioned your newsletter. What other, tools and kind of tips and tricks are you using to, elevate Armor Xteriors brand?
So there's not many things we don't do. So I think there are, you have a point when you start a business where you can outsource specific things. And by bringing a lot of stuff inside, what tools we use a lot of competitor analysis tools. Probably won't try to shout out specific things, but you need to understand what your competitors are doing first and foremost. But what really propels a brand to that next level, in my opinion, is when you no longer need to be focusing on those things. I've seen, managing with other clients in the past, is you will hit a point when you're in business success where you actually are able to kind of scale back a lot of your paid advertising, because you've built such a powerful brand. Now, not completely. I don't remember the year, maybe it was in the 80s, where I believe it was Coca-Cola pulled their advertising budget nationally because they had built such a strong brand reputation. It was the only time where Pepsi overtook Coke. Everybody knows what Coke is, but they thought, oh, everybody knows what we are. We don't need to advertise. They stopped, they lost to Pepsi. I mean, I don't know if you're a Pepsi or Coke fan, but it was that quick. So, we want to understand what our competitors are doing, but most importantly, not replicate that. We want to create something that everyone else wants to replicate. But not only that, we want to, once people do start to replicate that, we want to already be on to that next thing, always be moving forward. And we can do this through tools. We can look at what search terms people are searching for, how often they're searching for it, what kind of paid advertising they're using. In terms of paid advertising, speaking of that, I mean, we use Google, we use Bing. We don't generally use a lot of lead services. We did when we started, things like Home Advisor are great tools, Thumbtack. Once you kind of get to a certain point, they're just not as valuable to us anymore, but they're wonderful tools if you're starting. Maybe you don't have a marketing department. Google Local Services are great. And then, on social media, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Threads, we're on Twitter, we're on Reddit, we're on YouTube, we're on Pinterest, just blitzing everything we can and making it consistent and making it unique. We have multiple times had people come to us and ask us what tools we use to design, or, and it's like, well, we don't. Everything that we do from our print ads is done in-house. And kind of how we market, we spread kind of a wide net through, different print mediums, radio, television, digital. Once we spread that net, we kind of analyze our data based on quarters, 6 months to a year. And with the tools a lot of tools that we've built in-house, we can break things down as much as you want. So we want to know, we want to be able to target people in this income bracket, in this zip code, in this neighborhood, but we don't want basic geofencing technologies because they're not completely accurate. Most of them work on IP address, which is easy to go around. So maybe that means we want to hit this specific neighborhood. So maybe that means we need to do a direct mail blitz in this specific area. But we really want to be able to understand who our customers are, who is searching for us. We want to know how much we pay per lead, how much we pay per appointment. We want to know how much we would get as a return on our appointment. But we also want to break things down. How much money does a lead cost in this neighborhood versus that neighborhood? How much do we make in this neighborhood versus this neighborhood? Let's break it down. How much does this salesperson do in this neighborhood versus this neighborhood? So we break it down probably more than we ever need to, but it really allows us to create messaging that is very, very specific. Chattanooga is kind of an interesting geography here. We're kind of surrounded by, people out west wouldn't call it mountains, but mountains. So we have a lot of larger, older homes. On the mountain, we have a lot of typical suburban $400,000 or $500,000 homes around here. Kind of in the valley, we have a lot of country homes. So it's very unique in being able to target and how we message those certain people. Financing is a great example. Depending on the area, it might mean financing offers might not be as relevant to certain homeowners as opposed to certain other areas. Different types of trades. Resiting a home is just about always a want, whereas a roof is a need. So we don't want to throw out a wide blanket and say, well, we just want roofing and siding everywhere. Well, Generally, if we're looking at the lowest income areas, siting, we're just not going to have a lot of great results. So it's just utilizing, again, technology, but also a lot of data to build our marketing campaigns. And that's essentially how we do everything. We do not make decisions until we've analyzed and overanalyzed and overanalyzed almost to a analysis paralysis sort of point, to where we have to just say, shut up, just run with it and don't pay attention to it. Steve, our owner, he's super, he'll overanalyze all of like TV ads. And I've kind of trained him to just show up, shoot the ad, and go on with your life. Don't watch it. Don't listen to it. Don't worry about it. It's great. Don't worry, and he's gotten a lot better at that. So, but that's TV and radio mainly.
That's fantastic. No, I appreciate your insights on, all of the different avenues that you're able to, pursue, acquiring new customers, retaining, getting new business from existing customers. I think that's fantastic. So, Robert, as we start to wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, either, about marketing, about the industry, about Armor Exterior, anything you want to leave our listeners with?
I would say, when it comes to marketing and branding, and it's a marathon. It's not a race. A lot of people, especially SEO, I've been doing this for over 15 years. I remember when SEO was meta keywords, you dump 150 in there, you create a bunch of fake blog posts for backlinks, and that was SEO, and it worked quickly. It's just not the case anymore. Even pay-per-click advertising, I remember $200 was competitive, in a lot of these industries, 10 years ago. $200, find somewhere else to spend it. I mean, honestly, if that's all you have, find somewhere else to spend it. So I would say, understand that. Build your marketing around what you want your goal to be. If you want to do 1 million, don't wait to make 1 million to spend, say, 5%, on marketing budget. As a business owner, it is very important to, kind of make that investment. If I want to do 1 million, I need to spend this much. Set that money aside, earmark that amount of money for marketing, and don't look at the numbers every day. A lot of business owners, especially when they hire agencies, it's every single day. I didn't get any leads today. Listen, just calm down. Maybe people are on vacation today. There is an ebb and flow. Christmas shopping is a big ebb and flow, and kids in and out of school. It is a marathon. And I think that is probably one of the most important things I would tell any business owner is budget well, figure out how to kind of spread your money out. Don't cast too big of a net. Don't try to overdo it. Think about before you make your decision. When hiring a marketing company, ask for referrals, contact their clients, ask for a couple, see how they're doing. Are those businesses doing well just by happen chance? Are they just kind of, I'm going to go after big businesses as a marketing company so I can, because they don't pay attention, and it makes it look like I did the job. So ask for referrals if you're going to do an agency, especially if you're going to hire in-house, obviously, but ask for referrals, plan accordingly. Don't overanalyze the stuff. Don't look at the numbers every single day. Look at things by the month. Look at things by the quarter. It's a marathon. And most importantly, and maybe not larger cities like Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth, I can't speak to them because they're just such huge metropolitan areas, but branding, well, it is. Branding is important, even in those areas. But if you're in a medium-sized town like Chattanooga, branding is huge. You've got to make people feel something. There needs to be like a visceral response to your company. When they see your logo, you want them to feel something. When you see the golden arches, you feel something. When you see the Coke logo, you feel something. Coke does not tell you to buy their drinks. McDonald's does not tell you to buy their Happy Meals. They don't have to do that because their brand has such a response. if you can focus on those things, I mean, you will succeed, whether it's in 6 months, a year, and 6 years, you'll succeed if you do it right. So it's really just thinking about it and being patient. Patience is key in marketing in general. It really is. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Patience. Patience.
Patience and communication.
Yes, patience and communication. Exactly.
Well, Robert, that was a great little bit to leave our listeners with. I really appreciate, your insights into, all of the great things, the marketing, ventures that Armor Exteriors is on, all the great things that, you guys do as a company. I think this was a fantastic conversation, and I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.